This is the time of year, and this is the episode where I get a little reflective and I look back at the year that was. And so, as we tend to do every year, this is what, the third annual, I believe? Best shit I heard all year. This year, to me, it wasn't a great, it was good, not great, I'll say. You know, I guess I'll get into, like, I was going to do my top 5, but then it was like a 5 and a 5A or something. So really, I'm going to have 6 here. This is a band called SONJA. I believe their name is SONJA, and their album, Loud Arriver. This is a great, like, you know, you're going out on a fucking Saturday night, Friday night, and you're like, fuck it, man, I'm getting fucking wild. And if you were so inclined, you would do whatever your drugs of choice are. For all I know, you eat a goddamn whole pizza or whatever. Whatever you're going to do that's like wild in your world, this would be a good album to listen to. This is a good album to listen to if you're like fucking your best friend's girlfriend. This is a good album to listen to if you're fucking a prostitute. Like you got a prostitute for an hour and you're just gonna fucking... just disgusting the things you want to do with this human being. This is a great album to put on and just be the soundtrack of pure fucking debauchery. Not that I advocate any of those things. And there's not a lot of music like that. To me, it's a throwback to the 80s, like late 80s. Think Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction. Think that whole scene, that LA Sunset Strip, disgusting. Like I own one pair of leather pants that I wear for weeks at a time, and my whole lower body is stained black from them, and my dick and balls just stink like the fucking scum of the earth. And, your hair is dirty and you're all fucked up because you're essentially a hobo. If you're lucky, you find some lady that you could do like gigolo shit with. So you'll just have a place to fucking live. And as soon as she lets you in, you let your bandmates in because they're fucking hobos too. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about SONJA. So a big part of that sound is lead vocalist and guitarist Melissa Moore, who has been in a lot of different bands. Recently had been in a band here in Texas by the name of Absu, and claims she was fired because of, quote, the most fucked up transphobia. Melissa Moore is trans, and when she came out to her band members, they folded the whole goddamn band. She claimed to have been treated like a pariah. If this person was your friend on Monday, and on Wednesday they've come out as trans, they're still the same fucking person. I don't understand what makes people want to just cut a motherfucker off. Really, with this album, Loud Arriver, the vibe is so fucking like a fucking gross 80s hotel room covered in jizz. The way the vocals are done, they almost sound ghostly, like they're far away. It really suits the music. It sounds like you're listening to the ghosts of like 80s orgies past. It's a vibe. That's what I'll say. A tremendous album. Or if you want to have a great motherfucking time and you're not somebody who gets caught up on who people are fucking, and you get so caught up on who people are fucking that you can't enjoy their art, which in this case is very strong. SONJA, Loud Arriver. Next we have an album called Hygiene by the band Drug Church. It's a band out of, let me see, they are from Albany, I believe. They're out of New York. Yes, Albany, New York. The album, as you get into it, to me, it has such like a 90s alternative vibe. If you were somebody who was around during that time, you had stuff like Headbangers Ball, and then you had like 120 Minutes. And then you had Alternative Nation, which was where these genres sort of almost like they fucked, and the stuff that came out was what would happen on Alternative Nation. And this sounds like that. This sounds like a band that could have been on Alternative Nation in the 90s. And the entire album, if you got the fucking ADHD and shit like me, the entire album is 26 minutes. 10 songs, 26 minutes. You know when you watch a movie and it feels like it went by in like 15 minutes? That's how this album is. Even though it's sub 30 minutes, it feels like it's like 10 minutes. And all the songs are fun. If you don't have 30 minutes to drop for some good ass music, then I don't know what the fuck to tell you. It's Hygiene by Drug Church. Check them out. Next, we have an album that is a return to form by one of the absolute greatest heavy metal bands in the history of ever. And I'm talking about Megadeth, who this year released The Sick, The Dying, and The Dead. I don't know what the fuck has changed, but it seems like, and this is happening with a lot of bands out there. There's a lot of bands that, you know, you evolve to a certain point, but then at some point you've evolved so far away from what you originally were. It's fun to come back and just be who you are and not feel like you're having to push those limits or anything like that. And Megadeth, they just came back and made a Megadeth ass record. And a lot was going on when this record was being made. Dave Ellefson, original founding member, had this whole thing go down with the Dutch teen and the Jack videos and all that shit. Dave fired him, and supposedly they had beef even before all that. And just, you know, a lot of general shit. Dave Mustaine is a curmudgeonly, mean motherfucker. He's also a control freak. But with this album, he said that he gave up a little bit of his creative control. He allowed some of the other band members to help with the songwriting and stuff like that. I think as an album, there was definitely no fear. I think Dave Mustaine did a lot of things with his voice that I haven't heard him do in a long time. It's intense music. I mean, a million solos in every fucking song, just tossing off one to the other, one to the other, one to the other. You know, if you're somebody who's into like Call of Duty or something like that, dude, you put this shit on while you're playing some Call of Duty, your fucking adrenaline is going to be going through the roof. Your heart's going to be beating out of your motherfucking chest as you fucking pop heads one after another, capping motherfuckers down with your various automatic weapons. It's unabashedly Megadeth. If you're a fan of this band, there's a lot of pure shit here for you to enjoy, as well as like some really interesting noodling sort of bullshit, like Police Truck, which is like fun, almost like Ramones-y, punkish sort of stuff. This Planet's on Fire with Sammy Hagar is like so prime 80s. They're just fucking around with everything. It's an album by a band that doesn't give a fuck what anyone thinks anymore. From one of the pillars of thrash metal, one of the big four of thrash metal, Megadeth. Next, we got Greg Puciato, who put out an album called MIRRORCELL. Greg has been in several amazing bands. He's in a band called Killer Be Killed. Killer Be Killed has released some fucking sick albums, and he's a great singer. He dabbles in a lot of different shit, so he tends to do his own thing from time to time. He came to fame originally fronting a band called Dillinger Escape Plan, which is a band that has a tremendous cult following. He's responsible for a lot of really amazing music, and he is criminally underrated as an artist himself. He can sing like a motherfucker, and at the same time, he's got a scream that can hang with anybody. So yeah, this album, the only thing that really fucked with me about it, there are times where it did kind of go off and get a little bit indulgent. Almost every song is over 5 minutes. I think there's a song that's like almost 9 minutes. But that being said, the music that's there, it's so well composed. It's so layered. It's so beautiful. To me, the absolute highlight of this album is the single, which Greg did with Reba Meyer of Code Orange. She's guitarist and vocalist, one of the vocalists for Code Orange. It's a jam called Lowered. This is a hit fucking song. If rock radio was still a thing, If there was a decent fucking rock radio presence in this country, this would be one of the biggest songs in the country right now. This is beautiful fucking stuff. And even though I know I'm here to give credit to Greg, Reba Myers, as I've said in the past, she got the fucking goods, and she's getting better, which is frightening. At this point, she sounds like a metal Chrissy Hynde. Reba Myers, she's one of the baddest motherfuckers around. And for Greg, who himself is a tremendous force of music, you get those two together and put them on a track, ooh, it's fucking badass. If you're just sitting there listening to it, that's when you'll notice, hey, these songs are kind of fucking long. But if you're just like, if you got it on and you're living your life and shit like that, absolutely great time listening to the album. Really solid stuff. If you're into production, this is a really beautifully produced album. MIRRORCELL by Greg Puciato. And next, we got an album from a band that has been around for fucking ever. I think their first album comes out in 1997. It's KORN. They have an album out this year called REQUIEM. And KORN is such a weird case because, as I said, they have been around forever. And how you keep shit going from album to album to album for this long, really, they had a very sort of a dead middle ground where they released 2 or 3 real fucking stinkers. And then Jonathan Davis, he had sort of a creative reawakening at the time where he also was at his lowest. His wife died, and from there, he's really just exploded in regards to his creative output. The level of music that KORN has been putting out over their last 2 albums is really, really high. Fucking Jonathan Davis, his voice, the way he composes himself throughout any song, it's really amazing what they've done. There's still that KORN vibe, but it's so much, I guess, cleaner than it was in the past. And I guess that's what makes it almost more modern. Because if you listen to it, it's not like old school KORN. There's those elements there in terms of the guitar, the fucking heaviness generally of it. But the way the production is done, it's so clean, a la Architects or something like that. You know how the production is really tight, really clean. That's what KORN has done to themselves. They've run themselves through that sort of modern filter. And you combine that with the, any artist will tell you, you get the most output as an artist out of pain. And God knows Jonathan Davis is a guy who's been in some fucking pain here recently, and he's turned it into something really beautiful. Requiem by KORN, one of the absolute best albums of the year. But alas, it was not the greatest album of the year. There was only one. This was the only truly great album released this entire fucking year. And that album was IMPERA by Ghost. Ghost is a band that really gets people, it polarizes people, because the people that hate Ghost fucking hate them. And the people that love Ghost are obsessed with them. They put out the very best album of the year, the best album of their career, one of the best albums I've heard in recent memory. I did a review of this album when it first came out, and I mainly loved it. I said at the end it kind of slowed down a little bit. It kind of fell off a little bit. I think that's just because I was tired. The album had kicked my ass so hard that by the time I got to the end, I was just tuckered out. I was just a little tuckered out guy who, had to struggle through to get to the end. But when you go back and you listen to those songs, you're like, oh, wait a second. This is all fucking awesome. It's like, you remember, back in the day, they made Captain Crunch. Everybody loves Captain Crunch. But then they did a thing. They added Crunch Berries. And Captain Crunch with Crunch Berries, fuck yeah, it's good as shit. Then what they did is they said, oops, all crunch berries. And that's what this album is. This album is all fucking classics. Somewhere in the 90s, we started to get into this arms race of heaviness. You know, through the 80s, it was about speed, you know, with thrash metal and shit. Then we got into this arms race with heaviness, and we've now come to this point where, you know, like, you're not heavy enough unless you're like blackened fucking everything. And it's refreshing to hear a band just write fucking rock songs. It's not particularly heavy. There are heavy moments and there are great riffs. The songwriting on this album is second to none. Tobias Forge, who is the creative genius behind this album and this band in general. You know, some people point to the songwriting as being like cheesy and shit like that, but it's part of the fucking ambiance, if you will, of this band. You know, Tobias Forge, he's under a mask. He's playing a character, Papa Emeritus. In fact, he's playing, what is it, the fourth Papa Emeritus. The previous three, I believe they're all dead. And it's like the Pope, you know, one goes down, they crown a new one. And so we're up to Papa Emeritus the fourth, and who have all been portrayed by Tobias Forge, just so you know. I've seen online where people are like, oh, who was the previous singer? A lot of people like Papa 3. They've all been Tobias Forge. And the fact that he can get across different characters with each different Papa, just, I mean, it also points to his fucking genius. If you're somebody who doesn't get this, you are uncivilized, I may say. I love like a Jean-Claude Van Damme action film. I love a Steven Seagal, you know, beat 'em up, whatever. I'm all for dumb shit. But this is fucking high art. It's like Andy Kaufman mixed with Kiss, mixed with fucking ABBA, mixed with fucking Iron Maiden. It's one of the most amazing mixes of things. And from Kaisarian, Spillways, Call Me Little Sunshine, Hunter's Moon, Watcher in the Sky, 20s, which is like got a reggaeton beat. It's not, people are like, well, it's not metal. It's not metal. It's rock. It's fucking progressive rock. There's metal moments. It's a lot of shit. Darkness at the Heart of My Love. I've said before, there's going to be people getting married to that song for decades. Griftwood and Respite in the Spitalfields. It rocks from head to fucking toe. If you don't like it, listen, that's your opinion, but goddamn, dude, you're a dense motherfucker, because this is good stuff. And if you can't see it, I feel sorry for you. Impera by Ghost, absolutely standing atop. There's nobody even close. Head, shoulders, belly button, and testicles above everyone else. High upon the mountain, our Papa, standing tall and proud, shining like a beacon. All hail Ghost and Impera, the absolute best shit I heard all year long.